It's a hot take. So I have a hot take for you. My hot take? Well, I think some artists need to put a little more energy in their live set. Overly complicated tracks are things that kind of ruin a track for me. Don't stick to any kind of genre label.
Future bass is the worst music genre ever created.
Barber Beats was the original vaporwave. Fuck General MIDI Choir. It's all bad.
Bruh.
Worst album artwork I've ever seen is Green Day's Father of All Motherfuckers, probably.
I find new music often, and I usually illegally download it.
Stuff that sounds good. Sampleless vaporwave is still vaporwave, buddy.
MIDI wave is a form of vaporwave. Deal with it.
Gen Z's the future of vaporwave. I said it. What is your musical guilty pleasure, Vaporer?
It's gotta be K-pop.
If you don't like mint chocolate chip ice cream, you are a baby.
Music isn't real.
I smell weed. I'm Dan Mason. This is Vape Eric.
This is FM Skyline.
This is Mesh.
Yo, this is Groovy Kaiju. This is Christ. You're listening to
Hot Takes.
That's the one.
Don't touch my records. Ever.
Welcome to Hot Takes, everybody. It is I, Vaporwave DJ Young Shiro, and Vaporwave artist, musician, and DJ Skeleton Lipstick.
Hello. Hi.
We created this show called Hot Takes. It's a talk show. It's not quite a podcast. It's not quite an interview show. It's just a show where we get together with the community and chat about all things Vaporwave and Vapor adjacent, get to know each other and our tastes and art and music. We want to thank everybody for being here, all our new attendees, all of our regulars, all of our mods, and all the people that help us create the show. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And if you're not, we still love you. There's still time. We've got a very special guest for you tonight, a Datagirl, or Datagirl, however you want to pronounce it. Joining us tonight, we've been wanting to have Datagirl on for a very, very long time. She's incredibly skilled and has recently... Oh, Videodrome's rating. Thank you, Videodrome.
Hey, Videodrome.
Datagirl's been playing shows for a very, very long time, been making music, a very integral part of the Orange County scene, a la Pacific Plaza, and it's been a long time coming. So we can't wait to dig in. I'm stuttering already. To dig in and figure out what Datagirl likes, dislikes, and et cetera, et cetera. Just a reminder, guys, keep it clean. Punching up is absolutely fine. In fact, we encourage it. Just no punching down. If you use emotes, they will show up on screen. If you type in any of these following commands that I'm going to type in, they do things like !follow allows you to follow our socials. !Skelly allows you to follow Skelly's socials. !Shiro allows you to follow my socials. ! Let's see, Spotify takes you to our Spotify playlists. I did not spell Spotify correctly. You get it. We've got a lot of special playlists that have been curated from previous members, along with a running official Hot Take Spotify playlist. !Discord. Jump in our Discord server. It's a lot of fun. We talk. We have serious discussions about books, music, video games, films. We talk shit about food, just whatever, each other. It's fun. Jump in. Thanks for all the compliments on my shirt, by the way, guys. And then finally, ! Donate if you feel so led. You can donate to the show. Just want to shout out our donors because we had our Streamlabs Pro subscription, I believe is what it's called, and our Podbean subscription fully paid for, except for a couple dollars, but no big deal. Almost fully paid for, all thanks to donations, courtesy of you guys. I know some of my regular donors don't like being shouted out, so I won't name any names, but those of you, I keep a running tally of y'all's donations, and some of y'all are just amazingly generous. And if you feel led to donate to the show, it covers our costs, it helps us upgrade equipment, and it helps us commission. We've kind of had a desire to commission a new logo here pretty soon. That's going to go a little bit on the back burner thanks to all the subscription renewals. But anyways, you want to donate? It's optional, but it means so much. We love all you guys either way. So I want to get started tonight with some recommendations. I'm going to name 3 albums that I've discovered in the past couple weeks that I think you guys should check out. Then we're going to go to the Good Doctor for his hot take of the day, see what Datagirl thinks about that. Thanks for the follow, Je ne sais quoi. It's a pretty cool name. I want to recommend first an album that I just got yesterday by a vaporwave, kind of like funk meets vaporwave, and when I say funk, I mean kind of like a la like almost like lo-fi hip hop. A lot of like Memphis rap samples. Thank you for the generous donation, Trey J. Love you, buddy. A lot of Memphis rap samples. A lot of like I think his name is Big Pokey, like samples, stuff like that. Alongside vaporwave and jazzy kind of textures and sounds, and he goes by Mac Junt. If you're not a Mac Junt fan and you like vaporwave or you like hip hop music, especially like jazzy kind of lo-fi hip hop music, check out Sick Intentions by Mac Junt. Highly recommend. There's actually a physical. I got the physical CD just because I'm weird and I like CDs. So can't wait for that to come in. Sick Intentions by Mac Junt. Yep, Strip. You should definitely check it out. Second recommendation is our good buddy and former guest, Luxury Noise. Guys, Luxury Noise has got a new album coming out soon, and you would know this if you're a regular or you tuned in last week. But his first, I believe, official full length is called Second Light, and it's actually out on Pacific Plaza. You know, we've got a little bit of a big overlap in our viewership in Pacific Plaza. Alex is a very dear friend of ours, and so is Luxury Noise. So I want to recommend his first album, Second Light. It's a great vapor-adjacent, like lush lo-fi house sound. I have the links prepared ahead of time, Lux. Sorry. Like the Coast to Coast Collective sound is very like, what do they call it? Vaporwave Zero, breaks. Just a lush kind of shoegazy sound, the soft replica, late arcane, patch note sound. But Luxury Noise really turns the like 4 on the floor kind of housey aspect of it up to 11. And it's definitely recommended to fans of like Akasha System, Body Son, Phones, Pacific Coliseum. Paul and I we're fans of a lot of the same stuff. So if you try to donate money to him, he will probably tell you no. So buy the album via Pacific Plaza's Bandcamp, so he can't tell you no, like he did me. And then finally, I'm going to, in true Shiro style, I'm going to recommend something that's going to be a little outside y'all's comfort zone. Outrun synthwave music is a little played out in 2023. Hot take. Sorry, but it is. There's still some good stuff out there, but pickings are slim. But I'm still a fan. I fuck with Gunship, Mitch Murder, FM84, The Midnight, etc. And there's a little-known artist.
Murder's great.
What's that?
Mitch Murder's great.
Mitch Murder is fucking phenomenal. Anyway, I'm glad you agree. I want to recommend a little-known artist called Lost Outrider. The guy's a huge, like, metal music fan, but he doesn't make dark synth music. He actually makes some of the, like, dreamiest Outrun synthwave I've ever heard. And I already threw in the link. It's an album called Heart. And the visual aesthetic, you're right, the visual aesthetic has been stale. Well, I'm sorry, no, you actually just complimented the visual aesthetic. The music's been stale. Lost Outrider breathes a new like breath of fresh air into Outrun synthwave. In my opinion, it's very melodramatic. It's very dreamy. Oh, goodness, I have to sneeze. But at the end of the day, it's sweet. It's music like, if you ever saw Ready Player One, which was incredibly corny, but tons of fun, it's like what I imagine like what somebody would listen to from their balcony outside of the, like busted dystopian city when they're trying to like remind themselves that they're still alive, they still have reasons to be happy, they still have love, they still have a heart, if you will, right? So check out Heart by Lost Outrider if you appreciate 80s music at all or just over-the-top melodies, right? And with that being said, I want to turn over the spotlight to Dr. Chris, Skeleton Lipstick, for his hot take of the evening.
Okay. So, was thinking, I think that Vaporwave in general has clearly been sort of having like a little bit of an identity crisis for the last couple of years or so into what it really is, what its point is, where it fits into the landscape of music at this time. We've now come to see it as sort of a scene, obviously, of like-minded artists who connect with each other. But I think one of the reasons that there's been a bit of like an identity crisis with Vaporwave, particularly in this era, is because of the way the internet has changed. So when I think of the early 2010s, and I think of how I approached the internet, what I was using it for, it was an archive. So the internet at the time was sort of an archive. It was just everybody was uploading all this media that you maybe had either seen a long time ago and hadn't seen in years, or had forgotten about, or maybe even assumed you maybe dreamed. And then all of a sudden there was everybody uploading these things onto YouTube. You could find all this nostalgia that you did experience, or occasionally didn't experience, but maybe you knew about, or maybe thought wasn't even real at the time. You could find it now. And so, there was all this like media to work with. And at the same time also, there was all these links for Mega Upload and Rapid Share. You could get just all this old music. You could download. Speaking of, you said shoegaze earlier. I remember at one point downloading like a Rapid Share file with like 15 quintessential shoegaze albums in the zip file for it. And you could go back and you could like study all the history
back
of
when it
music
wasn't just Spotify playlists. No shade.
Getting to that, yeah, right. So like you could study the history of music in depth, right? And like that was a thing. And then vaporwave was a big result of that. Was these like-minded strange music nerds being able to sort of dive into all this niche music and cult music that they couldn't find before, then also find all this strange archived media that they couldn't find before, and to use that as inspiration, either as inspiration and to make something original, or to use it and repurpose it and do a sample-based version of it, right? You could, there's two different camps of doing that. But I see this new version of the internet now, and we're moving towards this world of abundance, almost too much abundance. Like you're moving towards like, people are much more interested in like what they can get right now. They're much more interested in what AI can make for them. They're much more interested in what can be generated for them, and like content is being created, new content is being created constantly. So there's not as much of a fixation with what happened before as there is, well, what can be done now? Because there's so much abundance that can constantly be done now. And I think that's a very interesting thing. Like, I feel like now it's just like, every time I go on Instagram, there's some sort of like sample pack being marketed to me. So it's like this, people are going to maybe going to that now instead of using tools from the past. And I find that to be a very threatening thing. And I find that to be one of the reasons why there's like a little bit of like a slight identity crisis with what vaporwave is and how it fits in now. So I honestly don't know. I'm actually not sure at this point, and I'm not sure what to call what all these things mean and what that means for everything. You know what I mean? Because people are not as much looking to the past. They're not even as much looking to like the concept of liminal spaces. They're not even going to be looking at liminal spaces that much either, because they're just going to be doing everything in the space of the online world, or the space of the AI world doing these sort of.
I feel like we've literally watched things start moving faster since 2009.
So, yeah. That is my hot take, is that vaporwave's identity crisis has a lot to do with this. And it's a big question. I think it's an identity crisis from vaporwave, from almost every kind of music at this point. But especially for vaporwave, which depends on the idea of like forgotten spaces or strange defunct technology. When the fixation with defunct technology or archived media starts to be overshadowed by the fixation with what can you create for me today with a click of a button. You know what I mean? And I think,
feel that.
That crisis, identity crisis that happens in vaporwave right now is probably just a metaphor for what's happening with all of us at the moment too, I think. So I don't know.
Yeah, we're all aging.
Where do we go with vaporwave? What does vaporwave mean today then? Is it still going to be based on the archived media, or should we be looking at something else? And
just because it changes doesn't mean it dies, right? Come on. I think we have an obsession in society where if like something doesn't last forever, it was a failure. I was talking with Lux about this yesterday. Doesn't mean it was a failure. It just means it had its time, right?
Yes, everything has its time and place.
I guess it would probably be a good idea to bring on our highly coveted guest and see what she thinks about what you just said.
Sure.
Everybody give a warm welcome, please, to the special guest of the evening, Datagirl. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hello. How's it going?
Very well.
Better now that you're here.
On.
All
right.
right.
Do better now.
Great. Jeez,
So
that was... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just some ground rules. Just to remind everybody, any question you ask Datagirl will be asked at the top of the hour. So we appreciate your patience. We want to hear what she has to say, but we'll go into the chat questions at 10 Eastern. Definitely want to know what you have to say about what Chris just said.
feel like I'm still processing all of that. That was a lot to take in.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, no need to apologize. You just gave me a lot to think about.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the first things that comes to mind in direct response to what you were saying is, I think vaporwave, like a lot of more niche, internet or IRL focused scenes, it will kind of ebb and flow out of the public consciousness and out of the zeitgeist. So I think,
Very true.
you know, like I see a lot of truth in we're kind of in another era of abundance, which I thought it was interesting that you said that, because that's kind of the 80s, and the early 90s, which vaporwave is so focused on, or at least was for such a long time, was also an era of abundance, you know? So yeah, I guess it does make sense that in an era of abundance, you wouldn't necessarily be as nostalgic for an era of abundance in the past, if that makes sense.
That's an interesting.
Makes a lot of sense, actually.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've been in a little bit of a recession ever since like 2008, have we not?
Yeah.
No, we certainly have. Yeah. Well, and not to say the economy is not.
It's not like it's not economic abundance, but it's definitely.
We're
like
talking about a
creation
different
abundance.
kind of abundance. Forgive me.
Different. Yeah. But still still abundance is the operative word. Yeah, for sure.
Right. I feel that.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, like when I came into the vaporwave scene, I didn't come in to reinvent the wheel or do anything well, maybe that's the wrong term. I didn't come in to necessarily do what people expect out of vaporwave. I was like, I want to explore things that I'm nostalgic for, and like it was very much a way for me to kind of like move through events of my past and like kind of like process growth into adulthood, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So I've always thought of vaporwave as less of a like specific like it is these things, although, well, that's kind of a lie, because when I explain vaporwave to people, I'm like, well, it's this genre that's like focused on nostalgia from the 80s, and like, it's like very plunderphonics heavy, and it is very sample based and all these things. But for me personally, it's nostalgia for what I'm nostalgic for, and like kind of like harkening back to those times. So I think as time goes on, and as I don't really think it's ever going to die, especially not the classic forms of vaporwave. Like, I think that will always kind of ebb and flow in popularity.
True.
But I think as it ebbs and flows in popularity, we're going to get a lot of different kind of takes and a lot of different interpretations of what you can do with the genre. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's not much of a hot take, but...
That's okay.
That's good.
They don't all have to be heaters.
It doesn't have to be a hot take.
Do you think
an opinion?
Do you think vaporwave's rivers are running dry?
No, personally. Although I don't know. I don't know that I'm necessarily the best person to comment on it, because I myself am starting to lean away from sample-based music, at least at this point in time. Just personally as an artist. So I'm not as entrenched in the roots of the genre as much as I was when I first joined. So I don't know that I have a good opinion on that right now. I don't think so. I mean, I feel like I see new artists popping up all the time, and like,
yeah,
if I ever
for sure.
decide, like if I ever decide to dip my toes into new releases, I'm always, impressed with what's going on, and yeah, so I would say no.
What things are you nostalgic for?
Oh my gosh. Jeez. It changes every day. I mean, a lot of the like video games that I played in my youth, like early GameCube games, Super Mario Sunshine, all of those kinds of things. And I think a lot of the kind of like ravey music of that time that like I didn't really know how to access being such a young kid. But hearing in commercials, hearing like if I was like out with my parents in a store, like I would hear like trance or like big beat being played or something. It's those kinds of feelings of like different music or different vibes that I felt like I didn't know how to find in like everyday life or access or interact with, but that I knew were out there, and they kind of
takes you back to childhood.
Yeah, they kind of just informed my entire existence back then because that was the cultural zeitgeist at that time. So yeah. If that
Like
makes sense.
8 people have said Neopets in chat.
Oh my god. Okay, well, shit, I should be reading chat. Yeah, they're correct. I'm very nostalgic. For
Is that like, do you
Yeah.
collect Neopets as an adult?
No, I don't. Well,
Wait a minute,
every once in a
Neopets was
while-
online, correct? They didn't have like a
yes.
toy run.
They had plushies. There were plushies.
Everybody's
There was
gonna
a
light me
magazine.
up in chat now.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Because I know Skelly collects comics, or at least maybe at
Right,
one
I
time
did
he
when I was
did,
a
and
kid.
I collect Lego. So like everybody has like that
That's
cool
fun.
thing that reminds them of childhood.
Yeah, Neopets is a huge one. I mean, internet culture in like 2006 to 2008, huge.
The MySpace
being on-
era.
Yeah, being on MySpace when I wasn't allowed to be on MySpace. Yeah, big nostalgia vibes there for sure. So, yeah.
Well, let me shut up and let Skelly ask his questions.
Okay, great. All right. So first things first. When did you? What drew you to music? What drew you to trying to make music? Did you do this initially? Did you play with it? Were you interested in it as a child? Did you start with production, or were you with traditional instruments first? Let's just when did you decide that you connected with music, you want to make it?
Gonna go way back. So
Let's go way back. Let's start
okay.
there.
So maybe this is a cheesy way to start, but there's this picture of my mother pregnant with me with doing that thing that like all of the like 90s pregnant moms did with the like headphones on the tummy.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like one of my favorite
Adorable.
pictures. And she used to say that I would always like kick whenever she did it, so like she would do that all the time. So it was before I was born that I was introduced to music, like you know.
LMAO.
But
Love it.
stupid. But no, I mean, on a much more real note, I started playing piano when I was 6. I was always really I've loved music my whole life. I can't remember a time when my parents weren't playing music around the house.
What did they play that really connected with you? Do you remember?
Well, my mom's favorite artist of all time that she still listens to, she's his biggest fan, is Sting.
Oh,
Sting
fun.
She
fucks.
loves.
I
he
was
does fuck.
just telling Lux I love
Gordon-
Sting singles that I've heard.
Gordon is the man. Yeah, no, he's amazing. So she would play his Brand New Day album all the time around the house.
It's a great song.
And
That harmonica.
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
that song.
I think the album's called Brand New Day too. She would smack me if I was wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what the album's called. And then my dad was really into like Santana. He was into the blues a lot. So I was exposed to quite a few different influences. Neither of them were really into electronic music though, so that was something that I discovered much later. But anyway, so I started playing piano when I was 6. When I was 10, I went to like a private religious school, so I joined the choir when I was 10.
Me too.
You know, woo.
Save type beat.
Yeah. So it was always really focused on well, I guess I was very piano focused up until like high school, which is when I was like, I want to play guitar and be cool and like be in a band. And
Any bands that you were listening to that you kind of wanted to be like?
that's a really good question. I was really into post-hardcore. I had a big scene phase. Like I was very into
Oh
post-hardcore.
hell yeah! Like at the
in middle
drive-in and
school.
shit.
What, like Dance
Or
Gavin
like
Dance. That was
Fugazi.
my-
Oh okay, I got you.
No, dude, she's gonna do a different era than you, man. Yeah, keep talking.
That's the kind of
So-
shit I go for. My bad.
No, that's all good. So I think, you know, I don't know. I had a lot of different phases. I don't know that I really knew what I wanted to do in terms of with music. I just wanted to do it in some capacity, and I figured like joining a band was the coolest way. And like I still love singing. Obviously, that's kind of my thing now.
So did
that
you
I'm
join a band?
transitioning.
Did you?
I
join
was
a
in
band?
one for like a short period of time.
You played
It was-
guitar in a post. Wait, hold on, stop. You played guitar in a post-hardcore band in like high school?
No. No, I wasn't that cool.
I was like, wait a second, hold on. Did you? wait.
No, I kept a lot more with the choir. I joined choir. I was in choir all throughout middle school, all throughout high school.
Okay.
I did join a kind of a local indie band for like
fun.
very short period of time. It did not last,
Mhm.
of course. And I didn't have like the best experience being in a band. Not that I'm like not on good terms with the people. It just like wasn't. It just didn't go well. So by the time I got out of that, well, okay, I guess rewinding a little bit more. The first time I ever really got into like dance music and electronic music was like in 8th grade. And that was always a really big interest for me. And the first time I ever experienced that live, I went to Coachella when I was like
really?
16.
Yo,
Yeah.
wow.
You gotta go Coachella at 16.
You're a real one.
I you know,
Really?
there's some crazy stories hidden in there, but so I think I was 15 or 16. But that was the first time I ever saw like a DJ live.
Who'd you see?
Cascade, I think,
Oh, okay.
was the most memorable one. I mean, I saw a bunch of people that weekend, but the one that
Cascade
was
left a
burned
big
into my
effect on you.
brain, yes, it was huge.
Wow.
It was like in that moment where I was like, this is fucking sick. Like, this is
That's-
what I want to do.
Oh yeah, that's a very crazy thing to see at such a young age. You know,
It was crazy.
Right.
Yeah,
I
it
can
was.
imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, it left a big impact on me, and I had already been interested in that genre of music and listening to it before then. But like, I had no way of putting 2 and 2 together. Like, this is what a DAW is. Like, you know, this is what DJing is and how it works, and it's actually like not as difficult as it looks. And you know, anyway, so
It is
fast
when you're a
forward.
perfectionist.
This is true.
But anyways.
So fast forward to the band era, I guess, which is like not an era, it was like 3 months. But I get out of that and I'm like, you know, I just really want to do my own thing. Like I want to have full control. I would very much consider myself a perfectionist, like to a huge fault. So I wanted to be in control of the music I was making and like feel like I had a say in what was happening. And I think like the person I was dating at the time was into electronic music, and like I saw Ableton for the first time and I was like, whoa, what's that? Like, and so that's kind of how and it was all these like little nuggets of like, okay, like, you know, I could see a career for myself, like, you know, being a DJ, like maybe I'll figure out how to do that. Oh, that's how you make electronic music. You use a digital audio workstation and it's like actually something I can do at home. Cool. You know, so it's all these little like nuggets of information I slowly collected kind of throughout high school.
Okay.
And then the actual making of the music was this really slow, as it is for most people, I think, was just slow, arduous process.
Well, it's such a personal, such a personal process making music too. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, thank God you already knew how to play piano.
I mean, that's not even it, though.
No,
like,
I will say that was huge. That was really, really huge for me, because I didn't actually study music theory till I went to college. So being able to approach theory with the knowledge of the piano was like, I thank, you know, Spirit for that, because that's huge.
But it's producing music is like doing that for the first time is so different than playing an instrument, and it takes like an arduous. It's a process. That's what I'm getting at. Is that it's really difficult to teach people music production. You kind of have to just struggle through it because it's such a personal process. Like you can teach people an instrument. That's not a problem. But teaching it production is different for everybody. So it is always an arduous process. So you just sort of struggle through it until you figured out what you need to do.
That's correct. No, that's totally true. I mean, I feel like a lot of the time when you start learning about production, you don't even really know what you want to do. Like sometimes you do, but like
if you do, you don't know how to get there. Like,
yeah,
I just listen to music.
And then on the journey to getting there, it's like what you want to do changes. At least for me, it's like I can never focus on a single thing I want to make for more than like a week. And I'm like, my brain's just in a completely different plane of existence. Yeah, that's why I've also been struggling so hard to get music out over the last year and a half, because I'm like, this is good, but I could make it better. Or like, actually, I want to focus on this.
That's the tough thing is like you make it and then you learn something new, and you're like, oh shit, I can do this now. Fuck, I already did this in this song. I can't go back and fix it. I got to do something else now.
It's true. I go back and look at some of the music that I made in the last year and a half, like earlier in that time period, and comparing that music to the music I'm like currently working on and gearing up to release, it's like night and day. It's crazy. So
everyone feels that way.
I know it's true. It's true. But for me, it's really true.
How do you know when a song is done?
Great question.
Oh God,
I love to ask that question. I don't make music, so I need to know.
How do you know this song is done? Considering, you know.
Yeah. When do you stop?
When do you stop?
I stop when someone else tells me you need to stop. Yeah, probably Nano Shrine, honestly,
Nice.
who is my biggest
Shout out,
cheerleader
Nano.
and my shout out. I love you.
You guys really
but,
are a like skill powerhouse. I remember seeing some of the like graphic design y'all did during the like lockdown era of the coronavirus, and I was just like, God damn, they're up
We had a
there
lot
with
of
like
fun.
All Hell Breaks Loops and the other like majestic visualists in the
I
scene.
remember
Like,
that too.
if y'all think
Outstanding.
Datagirl is a skilled DJ or musician, I completely forgot to mention her graphic design skills,
For sure.
like
It's
rendering.
fun. It's a good
Outstanding
time.
work. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's rough because I have all these different interests and all these hobbies and things that I love doing. And the visual art, while I still love doing it and like use it as kind of a stress reliever if I ever need to, it's definitely fallen by the wayside because I've got so many audio related things that I do now with my everyday life, and like I've had to really like have a reality check and figure out what my priorities are in terms of creation. So
Can I ask you, when you first started producing music and you were like, what was an artist that you were listening to out there? Like, okay, well, maybe this is a sound I want to go in the direction of. Well, what was influential?
I want to know this too.
And then no Cascade, obviously, but what else?
Yeah, so I mean, and this was years after I actually saw Cascade that I started to, make music myself and started DJing. It was they coincided. Like I started, just kind of sticking around on Ableton and like DJing at the same time. And I got a lot heavier into the DJing much quicker because there were like a couple of people that I knew that were nearby that were able to like I joined like a small collective of other DJs.
Well, that's cool.
It was called Frosty Music. This was a long time ago. This is like 20
Music. Shout out Frosty Music.
Yeah, now defunct, but
The
yeah.
Monster
Now
Cat
defunct.
era.
R.I.P.
Yeah, so this was like 2014, 2015.
She joined Animal Collective.
Yeah,
Fucking
I
3D
was in
Blast
Animal
with the rippers
Collective.
in chat.
Oh my god. Oh, I'm not even reading chat. I'm so sad. I wish I had
They
it
are
organized.
awake. You are bringing the viewers.
Oh wow, 40 people. Hi everybody. I didn't even get to say hi to everyone yet. Okay, anyway, I can't get distracted by that. It's terrible. Hold on. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
Recalibrate. You were in the Frosty Collective.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I was in a collective called Frosty Music, and it was a bunch of local DJs. Just like fresh out of high school, like just starting college. Like we played some local there's a local venue. I think it still exists here in Orange County called the Yost Theater. I played there a couple of times. We did a couple of takeovers of like their smaller upstairs room, and I played on their big stage one time, which I think to this day is still the biggest show I've ever played, which is crazy to think about. But yeah, and during that time I was getting really into like my house music, techno kind of DJ era. That was like the budding of that part of my life. And I was listening to Dirty Bird Records a lot, which is still a very popular, very successful house and techno label. They were really like my obsession at that time. Actually, it was Dirty Bird Records. Claude Von Stroke, Justin Martin, a lot of those like heavy hitter house people. Yeah, Justin J had just come on the scene.
Yeah.
He's now huge, which is like crazy.
He's very
to think
big
about.
now.
Yeah, so I saw him at Mixmag Lab. Do you remember that?
Oh my god, I used to buy. Yeah, I know Mixmag. I know the magazine as well. Absolutely, I used to get Mixmag. Issues of Mixmag all the time. Like when I was in the library or the bookstore, I would always grab that and read that and study for my classes, reading that on the other side. Of course, yeah, they had great festivals.
Yeah, so I don't know if they still do them, but they did these little parties like all over the country called Mixmag Lab, and they had one in LA, and Justin J was like still just a baby, like was still in college, I think, and he was the only artist that I ever got to see at a Mixmag Lab, which was formative DJ memory for me. So anyway, yeah, it was a lot of house music at the time, for sure.
Very cool. Do you still fuck with house music?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and it's only gotten more fun, and it's getting so much faster now. I'm I'm excited to talk about this.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, let's get into it.
So, yeah, I'm really excited to see the BPMs just going up and up and up in the clubs these days. It's like really sick.
Are we talking like 200 BPM plus like gabber hardcore shit,
I mean,
or like 130?
like that stuff, you know, it has kind of a niche fan base, I think, and that's all. Like, there's, you know, different hardstyle and gabber festivals that happen like yearly and all that stuff. But no, I mean more in like the house and techno scenes more specifically, and in like the more commercial kind of dance music scenes. It's like everybody's like pushing 135 these days. It's crazy.
Wow,
Like,
that's the
That's
upper
cool.
end. The upper end of it.
it's really interesting. I mean, and maybe this is just my perspective and the algorithm feeding me stuff that I like. But it seems like trance is starting to finally make a comeback, which I think is so exciting. Because obviously we're in this era of like Y2K revival and Y2K nostalgia, and that's really what was big at the time was trance music and progressive.
Yeah, very
so
true.
I am so here for it. I'm
The
so
whole
excited.
like deconstructed
it's
club
very fun
scene
to
is
hear you
very
be
obsessed
excited and
with the
talk about
trance.
Cool. Wait, you both talked at the same time.
Yeah,
go
Am I
for it.
right?
my bad. I was just gonna say
No,
that
you're
the
good.
deconstructed club scene is very obsessed with the trance nostalgia, and the like the grime people are kind of fucking with. I wouldn't say the grime people, I guess, but like trance is definitely coming in back into style, and I'm here for it too.
It's great, and it's just fascinating because I feel like there were all of these genres that had their own little sort of revivals. Like when I was getting out of high school, or like around like 2015, 2016, there was a big like UK garage revival out of nowhere, and this DJ Hannah Wants became like really, really big. Was like touring all over the world, like playing that kind of music. And then I feel like AC Slater was kind of driving that a little bit too, with the whole like night bass sound that was a little bit like had a bit of a garage influence to it, and just like the whole bass house movement was like really big back then. And then like as it continued into the later 20-teens, into like, you know, 2017, 2018, 2019, techno got bigger and bigger, and now I feel like techno has kind of reached its peak. But techno can get so fast that it like kind of starts to step into trance territory. So now I feel like we're dipping our toes into this big trance revival, which again, I'm just like so excited for. You're going to hear a lot of that in the music that I'm releasing soon.
Any particular artist from that's been inspiring you in your current music production that's from this scene that you're talking about?
Totally. Yeah, there's this guy that goes by Pantero666. He goes so hard. He's got the like Y2K trance aesthetic going on.
Pantero 626. What is it again?
Pantero666, just like one name. He just came out with this track I love called Ultra Ray, featuring an artist called Zorza, and she's also kind of in that like she gives me. In the vocals, I feel like there's a lot of like Grimes influence, but in the instrumentals, it's all kind of like dreamy techno, like dreamy trance.
Yeah, this looks fun.
Vibes. Yeah, it's
Lux
really...
just dropped a link. Thank you, Lux.
Aesthetic for this artist as well.
Oh, Lux, you're the best. Yes.
Oh, is that the song that you were trying to have me drop into your Insta stories? Yeah, and I they don't have it on Insta for whatever reason, so we went with the DOS track.
Yeah, that was so weird.
Which is a fire track. Have you heard of? I'm sorry, no. Let's talk about DOS first. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, yeah. All I was gonna say was it's so funny because DOS's music is so sick, and I actually just discovered it like a couple weeks ago, so phenomenal. I'm a little late to the party there.
Great choice. Do you have you heard Exodia?
No.
Exodia is some great like hard trance stuff. I think you'd like it. I'll drop a link later on and tag you.
Yeah, please do.
Right up your alley.
Cool. Yeah, so I'm starting to now, and okay, so I guess going back to the whole timeline of things and music and what I've kind of been up to, when I joined the vaporwave scene in 2019, I was still DJing a little bit, like with like the house and techno scene and stuff, but it was starting to wear on me a bit, just that era of my life, because I was in school at the same time. I was taking like 18 credits, I think, which I guess is technically a little more than a full load.
That's busy.
It was a lot, and I was, working and doing school and doing the DJ thing, and I just like, I don't know. I guess I started to get a little bit burnt out, not necessarily from the music, but just from the club scene and like how intense it can get when you're on that side of things. And yeah, I just got a little tired of it and wanted to kind of branch out, and like I had first heard about vaporwave in about 2015 from a friend of mine who like was sort of interested in it was like a friend of mine who was like really into producing dubstep, and he was really like just starting to discover it too, and he showed it to me, and he's like, this is so cool, like, you know, and it seems like it's really easy to make and like whatever. And I was just at the beginning of my like Ableton and like music production journey, so I was like, cool, this looks fun. And it was in no way related to anything I was doing, because I was really trying, like,
Right.
going hard, like promoting myself as
Yeah.
a house DJ, and I was like playing clubs, and but this was like a totally new thing that I had never really experienced. So that was actually when I made my first vaporwave track that is lost to time and to my old laptop that
Oh
got
no,
messed up.
Oh, no.
I know, it's so sad.
gone forever.
But you know what's funny is it was a Sandra track, and I had
Oh,
no
really?
idea. Yep, and I had no idea how influential Sandra was at the time that I was working on that.
Oh, wow.
So anyway, coming back in like 2019, I was like, I remember that vaporwave thing. Like that was like really sick, and like Blink Banshee like was really cool, because he had just dropped Blink Banshee 0, and I like discovered that in 2015.
I was going to
like, oh my
ask you
God,
what
this
your
music's
first
amazing.
exposure to vaporwave was, if you don't
Was
mind me
Blink
sidelining.
Banshee.
Blake Banshee.
Well,
Very
it was
cool intro.
Blink Banshee, and probably simultaneously, like, I think Floral Shop had like just blown up like,
Right.
2 seconds ago, like as a meme, you know, in at least a meme in pop culture.
Yeah.
And then Young Lean at the same time. I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
kind of getting into Young Lean, so like I got the aesthetic exposure.
Very
I
like
guess,
Vine,
from Young
Simpsons
Lean.
wave type beat.
Yeah, that was how I really first heard about it. But then my first time actually like experiencing a full album of the genre was Blink Banshee, and I just like totally fell in love. It was my favorite album.
Did you catch him
a
live in
while.
LA back in like 2017?
No.
Damn.
No, I didn't. I
oh,
know.
you missed out, man.
I'm sure I
Oh,
did.
you really
yeah.
missed out.
Yeah, I'm sure it was amazing. But yeah, and then in 2019, it was like I was getting burnt out from the club scene. I wanted to try something new. I just randomly made a new Twitter account, and I don't think I was even Datagirl yet. I think I was like
Really?
under
What
some
were you
other
first?
name. Well, you know what's funny is I wanted to go by Shy Girl, but I had no idea there was already an artist named Shy
Oh,
Girl. And
no.
of course, a quick Google search was like, okay, I can't have that name. Like someone's already doing that, so I had to spend some time like figuring out something else. Real ones will know, who followed me way back then, just based on my like crappy 3D renders that I was doing at the time.
Oh,
Will know that for a minute I was shygirl.tiff on Instagram. But anyway, losing my train of thought. Sorry. Okay, so
2019, you started
Yeah,
getting into
2019.
making vaporwave again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And that was when I started making Heaven Cry. And
Oh, okay.
it was kind of this whole like artistic renaissance for me personally, of like trying new things, like trying to knock out like my fears of music production, and like just like doing it, and like kind of trying to just not make it perfect, because vaporwave was so inviting in that way of
Yeah.
like, you know, it's so accessible for people who need experience and like don't really know where else to get it, I guess. Does that make sense? I don't know.
It makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Like that's the thing, is
So-
that people pool their skills together and support each other.
Yeah, exactly. And it just
Mhm.
felt so welcoming, and like also this was a big thing, is that I knew vaporwave was largely an anonymous community. And that really was attractive to me at the time, because I was so sick of like marketing myself as like a hot female DJ because that was kind of
so
that
this was a response to that.
in a big way, yes.
Very
Oh.
intriguing. Interesting.
You get to like work
So-
out a
That
completely
makes
other
that
side of
such an-
yourself.
So much sense now. Wow.
Yeah. So I came into it really being like, I'm sick of showing my face. Like, I'm sick of people, like, feeling like people are judging me based on how I look or whatever. And so I just went full send into, like, having this anonymous alias where I was, like, pumping out all these, like, I was learning Cinema 4D at the time. Like, a friend was teaching me Cinema 4D, you know, making Heaven Cry. It was just this big, like, a lot of stuff was happening.
A lot of stuff.
then,
Big moves.
Yeah, and then Alex from Pacific Plaza, Trucks Passing Trucks.
Shout out.
Shout out.
Big
That's
shout
our
out,
buddy.
by the way. Yes, that is our buddy, big time. But he was the only person that I knew in real life who was in any way involved in the vaporwave scene, and he actually was involved in quite a big way. I came to find out. So I just sent him this email, and I was like, hey, like, I don't think we've ever met in person, but like, we're Facebook friends, and like, I've got this album, and I, you know, if you're interested, like, it was a long email. I remember like being really nervous to send it, which is so funny now looking back because we're such good friends. But yeah, so I sent it to him, and at the same time, I was like, getting in the Twitter vaporwave scene, and then I kept seeing flyers for this thing called Electronicon, and I was like, whoa, what's this?
So right when you were getting involved with Twitter, you started seeing that pop up. I think this is interesting.
Yeah, it was crazy, and I was like, wow, I had no idea that there were vaporwave festivals, and then of course I come to realize, well, this is the first one.
This is
like,
the first one.
Right.
Good timing.
And I'm like, wow, like this is such a cool time to be getting involved in this space, because all of these people, there's like so much hype going on, and there's just like everyone's so excited to like finally come together in real life, and like, wow, I wonder where this is gonna lead. And yeah, so that was really, really cool to see that happen. And then of course I find out that it's coming to LA, and then I get really excited because I'm like, oh my god, like obviously I can't be in New York,
Hell yeah.
like at such short notice, but I can totally do the LA show because it's like an hour away. So, I bought my ticket right away, and then at the same time, I'm sort of talking to Alex about releasing Heaven Cry, and he's like, hey, why don't we do a tape release, and why don't, I'm organizing this tape swap before Electronicon 2, like, why don't you have that be your, like, release date, and, like, come and play a DJ set, we'll sell tapes at the tape swap, it'll be a whole thing. Which was crazy to me. It was, like, the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me, music-wise. Like, even with all the DJing stuff, like, this was the first time I was really, like, making a musical baby and then showing it to the world, and it was terrifying. So
yeah, was that
anyway.
were you nervous about that process?
Totally big nerves. Well, because I wasn't super well known in the scene.
That's
quite
so
yet.
interesting, because you'd been performing a long time.
Yeah, because you've been doing, exactly, that's the thing.
Yeah, no, I was very nervous. Well, because I had never actually put anything that I had made out to the world.
Okay,
like
that makes
that's
sense.
Right, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so because it was all just DJ sets, which feels a lot more accessible, especially the way I was kind of DJing at the time. It's very like you just kind of like you just kind of like look down, and like it's not super connected with the audience. Like it's in a dark club, like you're very in your element.
DJing vapor dance parties is definitely different, and I've never
So
DJed
much
dark
more fun.
clubs, but like, yeah,
no, it's a lot of fun.
you got to be kind of a hype beast.
But... Yeah, I don't mind, because I think I'm coming into the personal transformation that I've had from that time of my life to now is unbelievable. And I would say being the kind of it's great. And I would say being the hype beast kind of personality now is a little easier for me than it may have been. Like there's probably a video that some folks in the chat have seen from the Crystal Nostalgia party that I just DJ'd, which, by the way, shout out Crystal Nostalgia, shout out
All Hell Breaks Loops and Groovy
shout
Kaiju.
out All Hell Breaks Loops.
Yes, absolutely.
And everybody else.
What a powerhouse of a team. Just
fucking amazing people. Both of them.
Tremendous
the best.
individuals.
All of them.
They are the best. Yeah, and they have another date coming up next Saturday, I believe, with Fanta Cat and Ognos. And
I love those
Initial
two.
Yeah. They're
So
the best. And I think Initial Re, I believe, is also her.
Initial
birthday
Re's
party.
cool as fuck, too.
Yeah, Initial Re is the best.
Such cool people.
Yes, they're the best. So, so yeah, check that out. Support Crystal Nostalgia. If you're in the LA area, definitely go check it out. It's an amazing, fun dance party. But yeah, there was a video that I posted recently when I DJ'd there last time. Yeah, it was last time, right? Yes. And I played We Like to Party by Venga Boys, the Venga Bus song. And people just went fucking crazy, and I wasn't expecting that. And I've never had that much fun in a DJ set before. So yeah, it's cool letting loose with this crowd.
Fanta Cat does a lot of that kind of stuff. Just playing stuff that everybody loves.
She rocks.
And everybody, she's such a bad bitch, dude. I love
she
Fanta
really
Cat.
Is. Yeah, we are like mutually inspired by each other.
I love that.
I will never
just,
stop being
gas each other
amazed
up.
by how well she can rock a crowd.
Yeah, she's the best.
Born show.
It's unreal. I hope to be like a third that skilled someday.
I know. I can't wait to see it. I've never seen her live before, I don't think.
Oh, she's fucking fantastic. She's great.
Yeah. Unless my memory is failing me, which it very well might be, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be there next Saturday, living it up.
One of my best contributions to the scene is introducing Fanta Cat to it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah,
Sick.
I think that's the story. I just realized I talked for a very long time. So.
No, that was great. I really appreciate
Yeah,
that.
please.
That was phenomenal.
Please keep it going.
We've
got a lot of
questions.
We've got a lot of guest
but
questions
I
that
do
we'll roll
want
into
to
in
ask
a little
a couple
bit.
questions right
Yeah.
now, though.
Let's do
please,
that.
yes.
All right, so after you produced the first album, now what do you think was the biggest changes in your? How did you grow the most as a producer when you did the next one?
Okay. So from Heaven Cry to Destination Spa.
Correct. Yes.
So, good question. I think so
got
during
Fucking Randy. Glad you're here.
sorry. Oh, that really made me laugh. Okay. So between Heaven Cry and Destination Spa, and then even from Destination Spa to Alchemy: A Love Story, like all during that time, I was in the final year or two of school, and
Okay.
I went to Berklee's online school. So Berklee College of Music has Berklee Online, which is like an online extension school, but you can also get a degree through their online school. So that was the program that I went through, and my major was music composition for film, TV, and games, because my career goal was to make music for video games. So of course, in that in that degree program, you learn all manner of things that will, help you along the way there. So I was learning music theory, music composition, skills that related to like mixing and mastering, audio engineering, recording, like all of these different things that I was kind of taking in. And so it's interesting to see the difference between like Heaven Cry and Alchemy: A Love Story, because it's just like night and day differences in terms of the mix, at least in my opinion. Not that I think that the mix on Heaven Cry was like bad.
No,
but,
I understand. That's every producer. I think there's not a producer in the world that doesn't think that way about the next album they do after that and the one after that. Like, the mix is so much better on this one,
Yeah. So I would say my technical skills have gotten massively better. And there's a marked difference between Heaven Cry and Destination Spa. Also, like with Heaven Cry, it was kind of just like I was going through a lot at the time. Like, I'll just be real. So it was sort of like this big amalgamation of like I just need to do just make the music, just stop overthinking it and just do it and just put something out there.
Great advice. Don't overthink.
Yeah, and I was pulling a lot from influences from my history being in choir and my history having kind of grown up in a more religious environment, at least at school. So a lot of that was in Heaven Cry, and then Destination Spa was a much more focused kind of concept album, because that was something that really kind of piqued my interest with vaporwave, was how conceptual a lot of these albums were, like Pall Mall and like honestly Cat Corp, shout out Cat Corp, huge influence on me actually, and one of my favorite vaporwave artists. I liked how conceptual a lot of his albums were.
So that really appealed to you about vaporwave, is the idea of the conceptual aspect of it.
Yeah, and I think also the concept of Mallsoft, like the idea that an entire subgenre of vaporwave in itself was conceptual.
Right.
Was really cool to me. Oh shoot, just wanted to adjust it a little bit, and of course it just took off. So at the time, I think this is like right before the pandemic, like late 2019, early 2020, I was really interested in like spa themes and like relaxation themes. And my first inkling of it was like spa soft. Like, that's fun, right?
Right.
That's fun.
So I wanted to, because I was really interested in doing Mallsoft, but I felt like it had been done so many times and I didn't really have anything new to add to that. But I liked the idea of putting the listener in a physical space just through sound. And so I thought a spa was kind of a fun approach to that. That was really all that it started out as. There were a couple of tracks that I knew I wanted to sample that gave me this kind of feeling. One of which was actually a choral piece that it was like a bossa nova choral arrangement that I had been introduced to because I was singing choir in college at the time, and I was like, that would be so sick if I could just sample that. And that on the album, that's sampled in track 2, which of course the name is escaping me right now. One Martini Please. Yeah, that's the track. But so I had that track that I wanted to sample, and then another kind of house music track that I wanted to sample that I think is called Spa House, actually. I think that's the actual title of that sample. And it just, it was like, it's like any other idea. Like, it just kind of like tumbled and rolled, and I was like, okay,
Right.
this is going somewhere eventually.
Became a little bit of a train.
Yeah, it's like you get little nuggets here and there, and like slowly start to build this idea of what you want. And then the pandemic happened, and the world caught on fire, and it was like, it was just such a turbulent time for everyone in so many different ways. And the album at that point started to take on a much bigger meaning than I initially attributed to it. Because I was like, what if I can just put something out there that will give people just an hour of like calm, like a moment of like meditation, or, just something, because everyone's really struggling right now. And so then the album really took on this dual meaning of me wanting to explore a new concept within vaporwave, and also kind of like using it to better the lives of the listener. So yeah. But I guess I really deviated from the original question, which is how did you see your production change? I guess it was more focused, and it was more refined in terms of my technical skills to truly answer the question. So yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
We definitely nailed that vibe for sure.
Thank you.
Do you enjoy the live component of all this now? Like we were talking about
I do.
being the hype person for the house.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's interesting. I think Datagirl underwent an identity crisis as much as vaporwave currently is, I think.
Yeah, I mean, you moved from being anonymous to
Yeah.
being present in live shows to unmasking yourself. What was that process like?
Yeah,
Very much.
I got to the end of my degree program, and I spent a good chunk of, actually, I think like the latter half of 2020 and then like all of 2021, I was very kind of pulled back from the scene, mainly because I was so nearing the end of my degree, and I was starting to freak out because I realized I had no industry connections in the video game audio industry. So I was like, okay, I need to figure this out because I'm going to graduate and then like not have a job. So I spent a long time kind of focusing on that, and at the same time my skills, I felt like, were finally at a point where I could write songs, write lyrics, mix and master the whole thing, like do the whole thing from start to finish, which is what I had been wanting to do since high school, is like figure out how to just make music that I liked and be able to control the entire process.
Yes.
So I finally reached a point where I was like, I could do this. Like, I feel confident enough that my ideas could be laid out exactly how I want them to be. So I started writing my own music and like kind of leaning away from sample-based music. Not that I don't have the urge to make it anymore, but they're just, it's like priorities, right? Like I've got all these ideas in my head and all these things that I want to say and things that I want to make. Of course. That kind of take precedence for me over that, at least right now.
You got to do what your heart says. You got to do what your mind, what your imagination tells you to do.
Yeah, exactly. And I've always had like the pipe dream of being a pop star, so I'm going in that direction now.
How does it feel doing vocals and stuff?
It's fun. It's a huge learning process, and of course, it's very
mixing the vocals is tough too.
Yeah, like live vocals it's a whole new live performance that's not DJing is like a whole new ball game for me, and it's very daunting. So yeah, I very quickly am realizing that the ability to hear myself on stage is important. So
oh my god, right? Yeah.
Gonna invest in some good in-ear monitors. I think that's in my near future. Yeah, it's a big transition, and it's like anything else, like you learn by doing. And I think that's also kind of a lesson that I've learned throughout this time, like going back to when I first made Heaven Cry. It was like I didn't know what I was doing, but I just needed to do it and then learn from the things that I felt like I could have done better. So
That's good advice for everybody.
yes, yeah, I think so.
Right.
Getting over that initial hump is difficult though. But
Yes.
anyway,
All right.
looks like it's the
Let's
top
get
of the
one more
hour.
in before we start going into
Okay.
guest
Answer.
questions.
Yeah.
Me ask
Yeah,
question?
yeah, please.
Okay. What's your next move with Datagirl? Where do you want to bring this next?
Great question. So yeah, the identity crisis has landed.
Yeah. So now that we've
Uh,
we've moved past that phase, that's why I'm interested. Like, well, okay, what's the next thing you want to do now?
Yeah, so it's the music that is coming, I promise, is not really, I would say, focused on any single genre. It explores various genres that have affected me and influenced me throughout my life.
I like that.
And
Love it,
yeah,
love it.
so it's, you know, I don't want to compare myself to Negi Jemi because I would say we're very different artists, but like in the way that she on CBD Reiki Moonbeam has explored all of these different kind of avenues of electronic pop, it's very similar, I would say.
Yeah, that's okay. I see what you're saying. You want to
Yeah.
explore some electronic pop, like really dive into it basically, and try different ways of making it.
Yeah, and even like club bangers. Like I'm still really obviously really into house music, really into trance and techno. I'm working on a lot of tracks in that vein that I would hope could be played in a club like with any other track. Like I want a lot of the tracks to still be DJable, because that scene and that culture is so important to me, and like I still enjoy participating in it very much. So that's a big goal for sure, but it's like music that can be DJ'd and also sang live and is pop and also electronic dance. Boom.
Nice. Wow, that's succinct.
Right.
Boom.
Sky Yamaha does a lot of that kind of stuff, like dancey vaporwave.
Yeah, I love Sky Yamaha.
That's true. Yeah, I gotta check out some of her more recent stuff.
She plays like the flute and shit. It's pretty wild.
That's
Yeah,
sick.
that's bonkers.
That
Yeah.
rocks.
Yeah,
Bonkers.
she's another person that, like, I guess grew up like learning classical instrumentation. I think.
That's awesome.
I don't know as much about her as I would like.
Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot in common. Yeah, I should reach out and reconnect. That'd be great.
All right, we have a lot of questions, and shout out everybody who entered a
Okay.
question. Hopefully, we can get to all of them. The first one
me.
was from Strip Silence. He wants to know. Well, you may have already answered this. He said, "Tell me the story behind Destination Spa." You did cover that pretty
We
well.
did that one right.
Are there
Didn't we?
any other
For
like?
that.
Yeah, any more like trivia or like little known facts about Destination Spa you want to give us before we move on to the next question?
That is a good question. I guess a fun fact about the visual album, which does exist.
True.
So that was not in any way part of the initial plan for the album.
Really?
The only reason
Huh.
why the visual album
Well, I thought you
exists,
did them at the same time.
sort of. It was.
Okay.
It was so
Oh,
I
right.
basically I got booked on Flamingo Fest, the 2-day URL festival that
Oh, yeah.
my pet Flamingo put on,
Mhm.
and I had no idea what I was gonna do. I kind of started freaking out, and I was like, "Hey, I've got this new album. This album is ready to go. What if I just release it that same weekend and figure out a way to make a performance out of it?" And the most logical choice was a visual album. And at that time,
Necessity
that-
breeds design.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was very early on when I was talking to Nanoshrine, and he had kind of gotten me really interested in Unreal Engine, because I had come from a strictly like 3D kind of art background using Cinema 4D, but I didn't really know anything about game engines, but I was super interested. So he kind of helped me get my footing there, and he actually was integral in the process of getting that whole thing like rendered out and like doing the camera movements and everything, because I was so new to it. And I think it was completed like the night before.
Nice.
So yeah,
the
it was
11th hour.
It really was. It was a rush job to get the visual album finished. So there's a nugget.
Most Fire video games are like into like overtime anyways.
This is true. This is true. Yep.
Lux Elite, when are we getting the new material? Any hints?
Okay, so there's a lot, to be as vague as possible, there's a lot happening and a lot planned for the latter half of this year, which you all will find out about very shortly. More shortly than you may think. And that does include new material.
Very cool. Very shortly.
Sorry, very super vague. Shorter than you think. Yes, sooner than you think. It's all coming together, like the crunk. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. Yeah.
Comma Trey J, question for Datagirl. Is there a significant meaning behind why you chose the name Datagirl?
Thank you for that question. Oh my gosh, I love answering this question. There is, in fact. Well, when I initially thought of the name, Shy Girl was taken, yes.
Shy Girl was, yeah.
I had like a note in my phone of like just random words that I liked, and I just kind of like started smashing them together.
The Enrail method.
Yeah, basically. And I knew I wanted to be like something girl, just because I thought it was fun. It made me feel like a superhero.
Right.
And data was one of the words that I had in there because I wanted it to be kind of like, you know, weird and techy, like kind of cybery, you know, those vibes. And then just one day I smashed data and girl together, and I was like, that's cool. Is that taken?
Right.
Sure enough, it definitely was not. So that was lucky. But then as I kind of went on and tried to like pin down the aesthetic of Data Girl before I was showing my face, you know,
How did you come up with that?
Couldn't tell ya. I think I was just so I mean,
this is very distinct for you.
Yeah. I mean, when I was kind of making the 3D art, like renders, like the scenes and all that kind of stuff that I was heavily leaning into earlier on in the Alias, I was just downloading like whatever free FBX and OBJ files that I could find lying around. One of which was a Daft Punk helmet. And I had figured out how to model people. Well, not model them myself, but like anyway, that's too complicated to get into. But so I figured out how to get like a person model into Cinema 4D, and then the Daft Punk head or helmet.
So that's you with a Daft Punk head?
That's kind of the idea. It wasn't really supposed to be a Daft Punk helmet, but that was like the closest vibe that I could find. I kind of like.
Well, it's like with like a robot head.
Yeah, exactly. Gotcha. I just wanted some sort of thing covering my face to imply that like I was anonymous.
Got it.
And eventually I put the kind of binary like zeros and ones pattern on it, and I was like, that looks cool, and like that's kind of data related, right? I don't know.
For sure, yeah.
And,
it's data related for sure. Yeah, it's on brand. You're good.
Right?
Very much.
But then I kind of remembered back, and I think I wrote a Twitter thread about this like a while ago, but when I was a kid, probably like 10 or 11, my mom used to like go to one of her friend was like a yoga teacher, and so she would sometimes like go to her house and like they would do like group yoga sessions at her friend's house. And so a couple of times I went with her and like did yoga with like my mom and like all of her friends. And I remember there's like a part of yoga at the end called the Shavasana where you're just supposed to kind of lay and meditate. And the way that they would guide us through that was they would kind of say, okay, like first relax your head, then relax your neck, then relax your arms and your fingertips and your whatever. Right. And so as I was like laying there, the only way I could really get myself to focus enough was to kind of, I don't know why I latched onto this, but I would just kind of like imagine like a silhouette of a human with like zeros and ones kind of like filling down through the silhouette. If that, it's kind of
I can picture it. I got it.
It was like an early form of meditation for me, and then when I made that like mental connection, like a year into being Data Girl and like having this aesthetic, it was like, it was I don't know, it was a
everything neatly fits together. You know, things piece themselves together, and we don't even realize it until it's already done. We're like, oh yeah, that all makes sense when I look back on it. Everything was coming together the way it should have for the aesthetic, and it all connects to like everything.
Totally, like the weird like. Kind of, I don't know, maybe quirky or just abnormal things that you do yourself, or the thoughts that you feel like only you have ever had, like those sort of subconsciously amalgamate into your vibe aesthetic.
Yeah, it really does.
Right.
It's interesting, and particularly like it's the fact that it comes from a meditation class and it's destination spa, and like it's just funny the way that things attract to themselves to you said to amalgamate into the aesthetic. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. How fun. Look at that.
Yes.
Interesting stuff.
That was a long answer. Okay.
No, is
Lux.
no, are you kidding? I appreciate all your long answers because like there's really like
this
very thorough.
episode is going to be over before it started.
No, it's very thorough. So once the question is answered, we don't have to go back to it. We can like immediately move on to another subject because Datagirl has covered everything in that question.
This is true.
That
if
said,
go ahead.
Lux, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm so sorry. Lux asked how
don't.
the visual portion of Datagirl got started, and I do feel like you did kind of sufficiently cover that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what are the questions we got?
Celadon Dream Suite.
She talked about when it came up, and I think so, right?
Right.
Also, if there are any more specific things you want to ask me, like feel free to.
Yeah,
just,
keep
like,
them coming, guys. If we can get to them, we will.
Yeah.
Or follow up with her. Celadon Dream Suite says, it seems like our brains are programmed to hate the sound of our voice. Was it difficult to move past that when mixing your own vocals, or did it not feel any different than mixing the sound of you playing any other instrument?
Yes, it's difficult.
It's also you have to make room for vocals in the song too. You have to clear out frequencies, or else it really sounds bad.
Right.
So that's
the quiet
funny?
part.
Yeah.
I find that what you're saying, Skelly, I find that to be really helpful for me because I don't have to just load everything up with synths right away. I can just get the basic form of it and then be like, okay, that whole scooped out part, that's where the vocals go.
Right.
Oh, so wait.
The vocal is the lead instrument.
You're going to do the vocals before you finish the song fully. You're telling me that you already create room with your vocals and then start building the synths around it?
It depends. It's different every time. But, yeah, I mean, I kind of flesh out, I don't know. I work really weirdly. I flesh things out and kind of mix as I go, and then if I start getting an idea for a melody, like I'll clink that up.
What do you start with? Wait, what do you start with when you produce?
It's different every time. Like
every time?
It really is. Well, it's like it can start in a few places. So sometimes, I have that kind of like, ooh, that's a cool melody that I like just randomly was thinking about. Like I want to get that down really quick, and sometimes it comes with lyrics, sometimes it doesn't. But if I'm ever just like, I'm just in the mood to make music, like I'm gonna probably sit down, scroll through my drum samples, or like pick a speed, throw some. I guess I usually start with drums and bass if I'm not in a particular like.
I see. Now, if there's not a spirit that's particularly moving you at that moment, then you'll start.
Yeah, that's typically where I start. Anyway, I don't remember what the original question was.
What was the original question again?
I'm sorry. I got distracted by something that they said.
It was
in chat.
Celadon Dream's question of the sound of your voice.
Like, do you find the sound of your voice to be difficult to mix?
How did you feel about the mixing of that? Yeah, how'd you deal with that?
And they also want to know how you moved past that like feeling of disliking your voice.
I'm still in it. And it's funny because I think it's not the sound of my voice that I dislike. It's the tone of it because I'm not like the most perfectly trained like pop singer.
Fair.
And pretty much any independent artist is not going to be like a super well trained singer in the style in which they're trying to emulate. So I feel like it's not necessarily your voice you don't like, although there is a thing where it's like hearing your own voice through your ears sounds weird to you, and like there's no way to move past that because that's just like a phenomenon, like a natural phenomenon.
It is.
But I find that if I like nail the tone that I want, because there's so many, and that's all really down to like your mouth shape and like how you're placing your tongue and like all the different weird things that come with singing and phonation. Like if I'm doing all those things the way that I want to do them to produce the sound that I want, I don't think that I dislike my voice nearly as much. So I would say like develop your technique and like practice as much as you can.
Like the more control you have, the better you feel about it. Yeah. That makes sense.
And even still, it's like even as practiced as I guess I am, like I still do like thousands of takes before I'm like finally satisfied. So yeah.
That's fair. A little bit of a perfection is, I mean, as long as you don't let it take too much control. Never hurt anybody.
Working on that.
Naoko Coed wants to know if you have any advice for female artists in vaporwave.
Yeah, I mean, just freaking do it. Just do the dang thing. Like, you know, there's always gonna be weird hater, you know, gross people out there. Like, regardless of what scene
Creeps.
you're in, they're everywhere. It's like and I think at the end of the day, you will find peace knowing that you cannot control what they do. You can only control what you do, and you can only control what you pay attention to. And I think, you know, and of course this is not excusing anything that any of these people do.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to remember to keep your power with you and to not
Control the
give your
controllables.
Yeah, exactly. And like, just be careful not to give your energy or power away to, you know, gross people or gross things that you don't really have control over. Like, do what makes you happy. The vaporwave scene is wonderful. I would say, in fact, it's one of the more welcoming and, you know, more just warm and wholesome scenes that I've ever been a part of. And I don't think you will have any trouble. So
it ain't perfect, but it's pretty damn close. I feel like if we can count our flaws on one or two hands, we're doing pretty good.
Like, nothing's perfect, right? You know,
right.
It's a group of people. Humans suck. Like, we're not perfect. None of us are. So
Celadon Dream Suite is just killing it with the questions today. They want to know, what was your process for deciding what would go into your debut set at that first tape swap?
That's a good question. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for that, I think, if I remember correctly. It's a little fuzzy in my mind now that it's been, oh my god, it's been like 4 years. That's crazy.
Bruh.
Right. But, yeah, I guess I think my DJ set it wasn't just my music, because there was no way I had enough music at the time to only play my music. And I was coming fresh out of being like a club DJ, like a house music DJ. So my mind was still very much like, okay, like figure out a DJ set, basically.
Yeah.
So, and I was listening to Baja Ajax a lot at the time, Blank Banshee. I was kind of digging into the DMT FL back catalog. So I was listening to like oh my god, Cobalt
Road.
Thank you.
Cobalt Road fucks.
He does. Yeah, absolutely. So
especially his vapor trap shit. It's real
exactly.
good.
That's the kind of stuff I was really into at the time. So I built a set out of just purely vapor trap stuff.
Nice.
That was my approach.
Love it. Roche Corp. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Any plans to play shows on the East Coast in the future?
Absolutely.
Nice.
And then they complimented your tape swap set as well.
Oh, thank you.
Celadon Dream Suite with... Oh, the feeling is mutual. Celadon Dream Suite with another banger. What are some of your favorite music theory elements to put into a track?
Oh, boy. Oh, man. Music theory elements. I think the biggest and most important lesson I learned from music theory is what's known as voice leading, and kind of like chord structures and the way that can really affect a chord progression, like using, I don't want to get too nerdy, but like, you know, using like the main version, I don't remember what it's called, like the normal version of chord versus like the first and second inversions, like which note you have in your bass. Just, I don't know. This is gonna get super nerdy, but
I think people that tune into our show generally like that, though, so nerd out.
Okay. Yeah, I think I actually was always really fascinated by counterpoint, as little as I think it's still used in modern music. And I'm also a little rusty dusty on my terms here, so don't come for me. But you know, I always was really inspired by like that era of music, which was, I don't know, you know, like a really, like hundreds of years ago was when counterpoint actually mattered, and like there were rules there that you actually followed. But I think being constrained by some of those rules now in my music actually helps me a lot. If I go in and I'm just like, fuck theory, fuck all the things, I'm just gonna do whatever, I can never pin down an idea that I actually like. It helps me kind of, maybe that's my hot take, is that music theory, in my opinion, is extremely important. If you are an artist who, and this big if you're an artist who struggles to kind of make your ideas make sense.
That's a really good way of putting it.
Yep, that's super
Yeah,
valid.
that's the best way of putting it I think I've heard.
Well, yeah, because it's like a lot of the time, and this is because this was my experience. Like, I would have an idea, I would have a melody or whatever, and I'd be like, oh, that's a cool thing, like, I'll put it in. But then I wouldn't know where to take it or how to expand upon it or why that melody even made sense to me in the first place as like being cool. Because learning all of that stuff, this is just turning into a hot take. I'm sorry if I didn't fully answer this question, but
Good, keep going.
Rant,
like,
please.
Rant.
Learning all of that stuff, like, really, like, it just made me so much more refined as an artist, because I could tell the stories I wanted to tell, and finally in the language that I was trying to speak, if that makes sense.
In the language.
Yeah, that's very well spoken.
Yeah.
Very well
There's
said.
a lot more things I could say about that, but my brain is like all over
Well,
the
it's
place.
funny
so.
because like we've heard both, like, oh, I hate music theory. Fuck it, you don't need it. And then like when we're hearing actually it's really useful, and
Yeah, I don't know any music theory.
I think it's useful, but I also think
Neither
it's
do
easy
I.
to get I think it's easy to get bogged down by it, and I don't think that by any means that it's necessary. So please don't take that away from this hot take. I think that if you're interested in it and you want to dedicate time to learning it, I think that's wonderful, and you absolutely should. I would always encourage that. But if it feels like it's too much of a slog and it bogs you down and it gets in the way of your creative process, like, creation is really what's most important at the end of the day. So it's like, do what works for you.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like everybody kind of does it a completely different way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of shit I don't even remember about it. So anyway, go on.
Kama Trey J with a banger question that I wanted to ask for the last hour. Do you have any specific video game soundtracks that influenced your vaporwave music, or just generally favorite OSTs?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, I could talk all day about this.
Good. Do it.
The Paper Mario series.
Yeah.
Oh, there, Isaac. I know.
Especially the
go.
first one, like top 5 games all time. First one. Yes.
Oh, same. No, when I was a kid, my dad, my first video game experience, my dad had a Super Nintendo and like got me in front of that when I was like 4, probably, before I could read. And then we got an N64, and Paper Mario, I think, was the first game I played on the N64. And
I want a Paper Mario shirt. Kama says they have a Paper Mario shirt.
okay, I also want one, actually. But one of my most vivid memories of that time of my life was sitting with my dad and my dad reading me what was on the screen because I couldn't read.
Oh, that's adorable. The dialogue or whatever.
Yeah, and exactly. But then by the time I finished the game, which was probably like a year because I was like 4 or 5,
right?
I could read, and I was reading it like myself, like reading the dialogue, and I didn't need him to help me anymore. So that was kind of like a very formative memory of mine is playing that game start to finish.
You talking about the N64 one?
Mm-hmm.
Can I go into like a further nerd territory and ask you what some of your favorite pieces from that OST are?
Yeah, so there's which level? It's one of the later levels when you're in that snowy mountainous area.
Yeah. Wait, is it the one where you go underneath the ice and you go and you find the like Merlovely character?
Yeah, I believe
that's
so.
one of my favorites too.
There's the ice palace.
It's so beautiful and like just forlorn sounding.
Yes, and in fact, I actually in an album, a split album that I did with TKO, that was out on Pacific Plaza called Late Night Aesthetics. There's a track on there that samples the particular track that I'm thinking
You're
of.
playing. Can you please send that to me?
Now.
I'm peeling back a layer and admitting that I haven't heard it. Can you please send that to me?
That's okay.
Please? My
I feel
good
like it
friend,
went a little unheard.
My good friend Soft Replica has sampled a lot of Paper Mario as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I have a track that I made, I think before I even finished Heaven Cry, that sampled the track from Paper Mario 1000 Year Door It's the when you're under Rogueport.
Oh,
like
nice.
under,
Yeah,
like
the underneath
underground.
town.
I sampled
Nice.
that and I called it. I made it. This is when I was in school for theory, so I was
Yeah.
very nerdy at the time, and I sampled it, but the way I sampled it was in rondo form, so I called it Rogueport Rondo. I never released it. I should probably just put it on SoundCloud. But yeah.
You should like send me that if you don't mind. I promise
Yeah,
I won't
sure.
leak it or anything. Oh my god, I love those games so much. I really wish that series hadn't like completely shit itself.
You know, I don't want to. I'm gonna get so pissed off if we start talking about that.
Yeah,
because
I mean, don't play the Switch one, man. It wasn't terrible,
sucked.
but it's like now Super Mario fights a stapler and a paper
Oh,
airplane.
that one. You know, I'm not
and
gonna
a
lie.
hole punch.
I wasn't as mad at that one as I didn't finish it because I did get bored of it, but I wasn't as mad at that one as I was at like Sticker Star. That just
Yeah,
that,
or like
I
the
was so,
painting one. I never even played that.
Oh
shit.
my god, yeah, no, gross, terrible.
Oh my god. Oh man. Okay. Any other OSTs that you're like super into, and then we can move on to the next question.
Yeah, Super Mario Sunshine OST goes hard. The Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack
Sick.
goes hard. All of the Sonic games have incredible soundtracks. I'm saying that for
I need to play more Sonic. I'll be honest. It was always too fast for me, and I was way more of a Super Mario fan, so I'm not very good at Sonic. I need to play more.
That's okay. No, I would say Sonic Adventure 2 what is it? Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was
Okay.
one of my most played oh my god, forgetting like one of the biggest ones, Animal Crossing.
Oh, what? How did you forget that? Almost forget
Yeah,
that.
I have no idea. I think because that came a little later because that was on the GameCube when I first played that. So, but yeah, oh my gosh, the sheer formative memories that I have playing Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. Those were
Nice.
my two favorite games for many, many years. I would still say they're like probably
The
in my
farming
top five
sims.
all-time favorite games. Yep, I still play Stardew Valley.
Yeah, Stardew Valley. Have you I promise we'll move on. Have you played any of the HD 2D games like Octopath Traveler?
It's on my Twitch store wish list, but I haven't gotten it. I've heard nothing.
Oh, you
got
got
to
to play them. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And with that, I will move on to another topic, but we got to talk some more about this later.
Yes, we will.
We got new questions flowing in chat. Mist wants to know if you like Sister Act. I believe he means the Whoopi. I believe this came up while we were talking about like religious things, and I believe he's referring to the Whoopi Goldberg film. I told you there'd be some off the wall questions.
I've never seen it. No, I've never. I couldn't
You've
remember.
never seen Sister? Wow.
No, I was making that face because I couldn't remember if that was a show or a film, and I didn't want to sound like an idiot. So.
Oh my god, there's so many good ones coming in last minute. 3D Blast, what words do you usually use in lyrics?
Okay, fine. I'll take you seriously, Randy. I write about love a lot. So I think love is in almost every one of my songs so far.
Unironically banger question.
Yeah, actually it is, because now I'm thinking, and that's like the only one that I can really come up with. Yeah, I also don't have my lyrics in front of me, and my memory and attention span is
Felt
bad
on a spiritual level.
Yeah.
Roche Corp, any dream collabs?
Oh my gosh. Caroline Polachek.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
Just, I love her so much. Geez. I'm gonna say a lot of people that, like, you probably wouldn't expect because they're not dance music artists at all. Beach House. Love Beach House. And these are all just, like, people who come. Oh, you know who I would really love to collab with is, Bonobo.
Oh, I love Bonobo. Fuck yeah, Bonobo.
He's awesome. Yeah,
Bonobo's awesome.
Yeah. George Clanton, Naked Jimmy.
Right.
Would always be fun to collab with.
I mean,
those.
hey, they're local.
They are, you know. Yeah. I think my ultimate dream collab right now is definitely Caroline Polachek. I just her music speaks to me on a level that I could never.
She's got
explain.
a beautiful, beautiful voice.
She's incredible. Yeah.
Very skilled woman.
Yep.
Okay, Celadon Dream Suite. What do you think makes a track vaporwave versus not vaporwave?
Oh dear. There's just like a vibe, like
It's the vibe, yeah.
there's just it's you know it when you hear it.
Is it the nostalgia?
Yes, I think so. I think it is. And it doesn't necessarily have to be nostalgic for anything specific, which I think is why Vape 2 works. Like handmade kind of stuff.
Yeah, shout out.
It
Man,
works.
his new album is full of heaters.
Yeah. He's awesome. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I do think it's people always say it's a feeling and it's an aesthetic and it's a vibe, and I do tend to agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Picture Plane says real is a feeling.
Picture Plane is here? Oh my
No,
God.
he says real is a feeling. I'm just bad joke.
Oh, okay.
I hope to see Picture Plane again soon. But anyways, Pacific Plaza, banger question. What are some of Datagirl's favorite bossa nova songs or singers?
Oh, okay. Bebel Gilberto is my favorite bossa nova singer by far. I sample her. She's a track called Bananera, which I sample on Cocktails Beneath the Veranda off of Destination Spa. That's an amazing track. All of her music's incredible. Rest in peace, Astrid Gilberto.
Yeah, rest in peace, Astrid.
Was her
Man.
mother. Yeah. Yeah, another. The entire Gilberto family. I mean,
Yeah,
geez,
goddamn.
like what an insane
Fucking
talented
heavyweights.
family.
For
Yeah,
real.
they're incredible. Yeah, that's my short answer. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, keep them coming, guys. I'm going to shoot from the hip while y'all ask some more. What is your favorite medium, Data Girl? Do you like tapes, CDs, vinyl?
I think it's tapes. I love vinyl
Yeah.
too. I would say I like the listening experience of vinyl. And the whole just it's big. I like that it's big.
So fun to have all the
Beat
art.
tape.
That's such a big yeah.
And then, but I like that cassettes. I mean, I guess vinyl you can really do in any color now too, can't you? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like both of them. Tapes and vinyl, I think, are tied for me.
Damn, no love for CDs.
CDs are fine.
CDs
They're just,
They're not as fun. There's like moving parts that go on with the cassette, and vinyl is big.
No
and-
love for mini discs, damn.
No, I mean,
no,
I
no
grew
Game
up
Boy
in
Advance cartridge love, goddamn.
I think it's because I grew up in the CD era, and that was like how
That's
I used
why
to
I
listen to my
like
music when
it.
I was a kid. I know. I don't know.
The tapes are fun. They're like alive. They move.
They're
when you
alive.
play them, and they kind of degrade over time. They're like a living thing.
Yeah,
They're
I
so
feel
easily
that.
fucked up.
Yeah, yeah,
Trading
the,
cards
di-
too,
the digital, yeah, or not digital, but magnetic. I don't know why I said digital. Data Girl, do you consider yourself to be an introvert, extrovert, or a secret third thing?
A secret third thing. Oh, that's so hard. Not an introvert, I don't think. There are definitely times where I feel, because okay, I think that introvert and extrovert, those terms get kind of, funky sometimes in our daily vocabulary, because introvert is not just like I don't like going out, and extrovert is not I love going out. It's like
Right.
how do you recharge your social energy, like your social battery? So
yeah, well said.
do you become recharged by being around other people, or do you become recharged by being alone? That's really like the classic definition of the two. I think I'm a secret third thing. I do. I really do. Because I think I lean towards extrovert. Like I love, obviously, I love talking. Love like being
Right.
around people.
Maybe you just like being around the right people.
Correct.
I mean, no shade to whoever
Correct.
isn't the right people, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. No, shade. No.
Shade.
Yeah. But no, there's definitely times where I'm like, I need to, and it's weird because it comes in waves. It's like there will be
Right.
like a full couple of months where I'm like, I cannot see or talk to anyone. that is not my
Felt.
boyfriend. I just need to be at home all the time. And it's also like sometimes I just want to go home and just create. Like I
Right.
would consider myself a big homebody. Like I like being in my physical space.
Same.
It's very much like a kind of sanctuary for me, but I
Mhm.
don't think that I need it as much as like your typical introvert would need it, if that makes sense. So
It does. It does. Secret third thing. Solid on Dream Suite. When you wanted to make soundtracks for games, what kind of game or what vibe of game was your dream kind to work on?
oh, for sure, farming sims. 100%. Like things
Nice.
like Animal Crossing. Yeah. Animal Crossing not a farming sim, but relaxing, I think, as a lot of people call them now, like wholesome games.
Yeah.
So Animal Crossing, Harvest Moon, two biggest influences in terms of like wanting to make that style of music. I just loved it, and I still love it so much. Now it's interesting, so I can segue now into, I know we were talking a little bit before we went live about chatting about career stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't actually end up making music for games as my career. I am my day-to-day, my 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, I'm a sound designer for video games.
Too cool.
It's a
So
lot
cool.
of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's very adjacent to where I imagined myself. And I'm actually glad that I landed in sound design
What a cool
versus
job.
in. It's awesome. And the cool thing is that I don't like, all of my work is work for clients.
Day to day.
Yes, exactly. So I don't get to just make whatever I want. It's all about what's going to best serve the project and best serve what the client needs. So if I feel like if I was making music all day that was not exactly what I wanted to make, I would then feel too burned out to come home and continue working on my own music, because it's just a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm actually kind of glad that I didn't end up with that as my kind of day-to-day job, and that instead it's something that's close but just adjacent, because making sound
yeah.
effects is not writing music. It's very, very different.
Oh, yeah.
Although it uses a lot of the same skills. And I would say becoming a sound designer actually has just like skyrocketed my really expedited my technical know-how. And it's a big reason why now I'm about to start releasing the music that I'm about to start releasing, which I would say is, I wouldn't really call it lo-fi in any way. It's a lot more of a clean kind of like overproduced, some might say, like pop vibe. But I've only able to get to that level now because of the technical prowess and know-how that is required to be a sound designer for AAA games. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Fun facts.
That's cool as fuck, for real.
It's a lot of fun.
And the chat has stepped up, and we got hella questions now we got to get through. Oh man, Quiz wants to know if you can reflect on using AI art for alchemy versus how that might play out today. I hope I read that question correctly. Tech is
Yeah.
different, culture around it, etc.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I would have done anything any differently. At the time, I think it was a very different landscape.
Yeah.
It's used in many controversial ways now that, of course, I don't agree with. And I think at the time, the way that Vito and I were kind of... So what he's talking about, in case anyone's unaware, is we released a zine that accompanied the Alchemy: A Love Story tape release that had a lot of kind of artistic interpretations made using an AI like art algorithm called the Big Sleep, which is a much older algorithm compared to like today's like Midjourney and all of the things that are popular now. And yeah, I mean, if you go back and look at that art now, I mean, it's very primitive. Like it's just.
I think that's
like,
better that it looks primitive. I think that is the more interesting version of
That's
AI, honestly.
vaporwave.
I think so too. Like,
Yeah.
and it was all about kind of like pulling out, like what can you pull out of the machine?
When things like bleeding together, like that was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I have no problem with that.
Yeah, I don't see. I mean, like the other side of the coin is like now it's so advanced that people fear their jobs being taken, and like that's that's
Yeah.
terrifying. And of course, like I also think it's silly of anyone to think that they can rely on something like Midjourney to produce exactly what they want like 100% of the time. It's like you need a real artist, you really do. So looking back, no, I don't think I would do anything differently, but yeah, I can see if I were to do that now with something like Midjourney that it might garner a much more negative response.
I think Vaporwave should just adopt the old AI stuff as its part of the
Right.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting. I mean, at the moment, Vito's no longer on social media, but that was really what he was sticking with. He stayed with that same
Yeah, he did, didn't
AI
he?
generator for
Yeah.
a while. Yeah,
That was like a big thing
had
for him for a minute.
he's still into it. I think he's just not really on Twitter much these days.
Oh, he ain't missing much. Site is buggy as hell.
It's not great. Yeah.
No,
not,
it's
not
terrible.
Not a bad time to leave. So.
Short Stuff with a great question. What was your first reaction when the Datagirl and 3D Blast memes from the tape swap were going around on Twitter?
Yes. I was losing my mind. I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was one of the first people to participate. In fact, because a couple of the thing was kind of making its rounds on Instagram, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is the funniest picture I've ever seen." Because it looks like I just absolutely hate this guy, and
Yeah,
like
he's
just,
mansplaining DJing to you or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so funny because it was actually the complete opposite of what was happening. I don't know if I've ever even told the real story of what was happening. So he had told me earlier that day, because he had already done his set and mine was still an hour away or something, and he was like, I don't even remember what the deal was with the decks, but there was
those decks were
weird.
fucked, dude. That's what it was, right?
Weird. Yeah, there was something weird going on with them, and I couldn't quite remember what it was, and I was so nervous by the time I got up there that I forgot everything he said to me. So I called him over, and I was like, "What were you saying? What's wrong with them
There was
again?"
a delay.
Yeah, it was something.
And
weird.
I was up there, and I don't use I haven't used XDJs that much, or anything in the XDJ family.
Right.
And I was just like, oh my fucking god, what is wrong with these decks?
I think it was my first time using any kind of XDJ device as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was tunnel visioned, and I just
oh dude, fucking terrifying DJ set that day.
So yeah, so I called him up and I asked him again, what, can you tell me again, what was wrong with them? And he's explaining it, and I find when it clicks, I go, oh, and that's what I'm doing in that picture is I'm going, oh,
man, who took that photo? Was it Ognos?
I don't remember the person's name, but yeah, it was a hilarious moment, and it really of course, I have very big reactions in real time.
You are pretty animated.
I'm a very animated person, so it's of course, someone taking a picture at that exact moment, and Randy's
excellent
timing.
And then they turned it into they made your mouth huge.
So
you look like
funny.
a Muppet. Oh my god, the whole Obama soda thing.
All the different Photoshop versions.
It kills me.
Do you remember the memes about that brand of water that was all over New York City?
Yeah, what was it called?
Those ones were good too. I can't remember.
The green label. Someone in chat's got it.
Yeah, somebody will
But,
just blast it right off. Poland Spring.
Poland
Thanks,
Spring.
Nathan. Of course, Nathan would know what water it was.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Oh my gosh, all the memes from that weekend were just god tier.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
And it's just so funny because that, like I said, that
club
image really
stage
makes
jokes.
it look oh god, the club stage was hell. But all of that picture really makes it look like I hate him, when in fact in real life, especially since that weekend, we've become such close friends that it just cracks me up now every time I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then we
yeah.
were next to a place called Assy Distribution.
Oh my god! I forgot about that one. Yeah, that's pretty
Dude,
good.
so much. And then that lady came out that was super pissed. No, that was actually it.
That was justified, I think. But
no,
yeah.
I think that was at what was it called? Club Genki. I always want to say like Genki Town. I can't remember what it's called.
Oh, because I do remember one of the neighboring. There, of course, there were a lot of us.
Somebody
there,
was
and we
mad.
were,
Yeah.
we were
And they
all
had a good
very
reason,
excited,
yeah.
and yeah, a few of us were. I mean, not me personally, but no, just kidding. So some of us were blocking the entrance to one of
Yeah.
the neighboring businesses, and just
True.
make sure we don't do that. In the future.
Yeah, real talk. We had our practice round. Oh
We did.
man, we got 3 more at least I want to get through real quick before we do our,
Yes.
our like
I can't
final.
believe it's
I know,
Already
right?
10 minutes? Can you believe that?
We got another 10 minutes or so before we have to finish things up. Roge Corp wants he's got a non-music question. What is your go-to smoothie flavor?
Ooh, love that question. I love smoothies. Definitely like strawberry, banana, like vanilla, or like a pitaya, like acai kind of deal.
What in the world
Yeah.
is pitaya? Am I a Philistine?
It's no, it's just a silly smoothie store thing. I
Pitaya.
really am.
Oh, that's the name of a brand. I got you. My
No,
bad.
it's like I think it's a berry. It's like a pitaya berry, I think is a berry.
A
but
superfood.
maybe- Yeah, something like that. I don't know. I just know that when I order it, it's pink and it tastes good. So.
That's the most important part.
Strawberry, banana, vanilla, pitaya smoothie.
Yeah.
Get it. You heard it on
Fire.
Hot Takes. In Rayleigh, Datagirl, is it Data? Why don't you say it for once and for all? Is it Datagirl or Datagirl? Datagirl?
Okay.
Like, what is it?
Listen, I have never said that it is one or the other. I want to make that clear. It is whatever is most comfortable for you to pronounce, given your local accent or just the way you tend to say things. However, I do say Data Girl because that is how I like to say it. But I want everyone to say it how they feel comfortable saying it. So, anyway.
Datagirl.
There we go. Yeah, sure.
Rail wants to know what video. You might have missed this one, buddy. What video game inspires you the most?
Now,
Well, so you
Jeez,
mentioned
I'm just-
Paper Mario and the farming sims and the Sonic games.
yeah, and Animal Crossing, all that. So that's
Yeah.
all the older stuff that inspires me. I would say presently, oh my gosh. And I don't know that there are any video games now that necessarily inform me as a music artist, but in terms of inspiring me, just period, the Horizon series on PlayStation, so Horizon Zero Dawn and Horizon Forbidden West are both, it's just an incredible
I've not heard of
series.
those.
Oh my gosh, just amazing. I also recently played the newest God of War series, just equally incredible. I love adventure games like
Gotcha.
anything that can tell me a really really compelling story is like super up my
Yeah,
alley. I also
storytelling
just-
is important for me too.
I just finished the Plague Tale series. Those are really really
Wow.
awesome. Those were created by I think a group of people from the Telltale Games team. I'm pretty sure they left and started a new studio and created this Plague Tale series, which is awesome.
Gotcha.
So recently, that's what's been inspiring me. So,
Very cool.
yeah.
Very cool. We've got a question in chat. Trey J wants to know about the design on your nails.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's here.
Little hard to see. Can we
There
see
you go,
them?
chat.
Nice.
Yeah. They're a little vapory. They're fun. They're just press-on nails from a company called Glam Mermaid. So it's
Glam Mermaid. Oh, how
yeah.
fun.
So
Glam
yeah,
Mermaid.
Glam
Oh
Mermaid.
yeah, that's perfect.
Glam
Glam
Mermaid.
Mermaid. Glam
It's a
Mermaid.
weird name. So yeah, I recently got into them because I have like the tendency to kind of pick at my cuticles and pick at my nails, and it's like really bad. But I found that when I wear these, I don't do it at all, which is awesome, and I
Oh.
can finally have nails that grow and that don't look awful. So anyway, yeah, they're kind of spacey and fun.
Any thoughts on the Detroit Neo Hypertronica scene?
Oh,
None of those words are in the Bible.
ew.
I actually wait. The Detroit Neo Hypertronica scene?
Yes.
Is this I can't tell. Is this a real thing? Am I old?
No.
No, it's not a real thing.
But what are your
Because
thoughts?
You fucked with me with it the other week. You fucked with me with it the other week too.
God,
Don't
I
worry.
was like, oh,
it was not
no.
just you. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
All right,
You
real
know-
question.
The real question is getting
What
late.
are the-
Come on.
what is the single best way for your fans to support you right now?
Just be open-minded to all the new stuff.
like that.
It makes me nervous releasing, like, just taking this alias in a whole new direction. It's, I'll be pretty clear, like, yeah, you'll probably hear some vapor influence here and there, but I would not consider it vaporwave. And if you do, great, that's awesome, love that. But it's nerve-wracking having amassed this audience of folks who really love the vaporwave work that I've done, and I love and appreciate every single one of you, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now without you guys. But I hope that the stuff that comes out soon is also something you can appreciate, and something that's up your alley. And if it's not, no hard feelings, but
Right.
at least give it a try.
One thing I gotta say I love about this scene is I feel like all of us are interested, or have at least been exposed to, experimental music. So
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
how difficult can it be? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I think a lot of us are electronic music and pop music enjoyers, so as long as that is a consistent thing, then I
Right.
think it'll work out.
All right. Well, before we have to wrap up, what is something that you think that would make this show better?
Oh my gosh. I want to see more recaps. I want to see you guys post recaps on your socials. I was actually just thinking about that. Like, whether you
Like
take on the-
TikTok length videos.
yeah, like
We've
little
actually been
things.
we've been hit up by people offering their services in compiling that sort of thing.
honestly, I would love that. I think
That's really smart.
I think
That's a
it
good
would take.
idea.
Of course, I have marketing brain right now.
Yeah,
'cause I'm thinking
would that
about
I knew how to
market
do
an
that sort
album,
of thing.
but-
No, that's smart.
Yeah, I think it would expose you guys to a whole new audience that may be really interested in what you guys do, but may not know that you guys exist. I think that would be really smart. It also kind of keeps people excited, like in between episodes, like remembering, oh yeah, remember when that guest said that funny thing? Like, I wonder what's
Right.
gonna happen next time. It's kind of
Yeah, well said.
that stuff. Yeah.
Kind of like our beautiful little intro video that DS Dude did for us.
Yeah,
I love
that video rocks. Oh, shout out to
Yeah,
you.
it's fun, right? Yeah, DS
Yeah.
Dude's the fucking coolest. It's a local homie right there. What musical artist stopped making music that you wish that you could revive?
Holy
They don't have to
crap.
be dead,
Great
to
question.
be clear. Just artists that you missed hearing music from.
Oh, that's such a good question. I was gonna say Pendulum, but they actually are
They
still
do, 'cause-
releasing music.
yeah.
But I want them to go back 15 years ago and release that kind of music.
Yeah, I was just say you want
I want old Pendulum back. yeah.
old pendulum, yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah. They're a big one. Daft Punk. I feel like that's an obvious one, but oh no, I'm so bad at being put on the spot. I'm gonna think of things like a million people who don't make music anymore, like after this is all done, and then be so
Right.
upset that I didn't think of them.
there
in
have
the
been
moment.
some guests that have
Yeah.
gone on Twitter and been like, actually, and like answered a question
Yeah.
later on. Feel free to do that.
Yeah. I just might. I just might. Yeah.
What do you think is a fair price for an album, or an EP, or just a single, etc.?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Depends on the amount of tracks, I think.
Agreed.
An EP. Also, is this like digital pricing?
That's a
Or-
good question. Let's say maybe we do an album, digital or physical.
Okay. So let's say a full 10-track album digitally. I mean, gosh, for me, I would say I'd go as high for my music like $15 to $20. Like, that would be awesome. Although I don't think that digitally I would ever necessarily set a price.
Right.
I think I would do.
We're talking
pay
like
what you want.
lossless,
Yeah,
the good
it's-
stuff.
It's hard for me to really put a price on my digital music personally.
It's a tough question to be asked also. I mean,
Yeah, it is tough. I think I would really.
I
have
wouldn't be able to
think on it.
answer it.
No, and I also think that every artist should set. It's never going to be the same for every
It
artist.
really is a
There's no
case-by-case
blanket
basis.
answer. Yeah, and I think that artists should be confident enough to set their own price, because really, like,
Yes, agreed.
you have to be able to value your time in like a tangible amount of dollars. You know, it's like it's kind of like what if you're like an artist and someone wants to commission you and they say what are your rates, and you say, well, it's gonna be $1,000.
Right.
Pay it or don't pay it, you know, because
Yep.
that's what my time is worth to me, and there are people out there that will pay that, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think it's wise to take a similar approach with music, but I think that what that amount is going to be different for everybody. So
Do you pay as much for EPs as you do albums?
no, not typically. No, I don't.
Same.
Yeah.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think my general MO is like, and this probably just harkens back to like early iTunes days, is like $1 a track.
That's
At the very minimum.
I think that's
you know?
fair.
That's fair.
Especially if it's less than a half hour long. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to ask for a specific price point, then just ask for it and I'll probably pay it. But, you know, if I'm
Right.
going to be assigning value across the board like that, like, yeah, pretty much everybody, whether it's my favorite artist or someone that I think is just okay, like, I'm probably going to pay $1 a track generally.
I think that's
Fair.
reasonable.
That's very reasonable. We are almost out of time, so we would like for you to take these last few minutes to showcase, shout out, or promote anything you want, or say anything you want.
Oh boy. Okay. A lot of things coming, friends. If only
true.
I
Would
could
that this
tell you.
episode were a week later?
Oh, if only I could tell you all. If only. So yeah, just honestly, like, keep an eye out for a lot of really big. I'm announcing my announcements. You know what? It's fucking happening. Sorry, guys.
Right.
A lot of big announcements coming in the next week or so, and probably the next month, actually. I'm playing a few shows that are coming up in the LA area. July 2nd, we've got Prism Power, which is going to be happening during Anime Expo weekend. I'm actually on that lineup with some good friends, with Frank Jab C, with Fiber.
Nice.
And,
Nice. All friends of the
yeah.
show.
Very.
Yeah. So please, if you are in the LA area or if you're coming out for Anime Expo, all the info is on my Instagram, and you can buy tickets via my Linktree, so check that out. Later, and that's July 2nd, which I believe is a Sunday.
Nice. Coming up here pretty soon.
And then July 20th, Vape Error is coming to town.
Nice.
He's
Boy
coming
puts
to
on
LA.
a great show, doesn't he?
He's great. He's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful.
And then I'm gonna be on that bill with our friend Enrail, which is gonna be super
Love
fun.
that boy. Another friend of the
Yeah.
show.
You know, I don't know if we've ever actually been on a show lineup together besides like the tape swap, which
Boy,
is
are you
crazy
in
to
for
me,
fun.
So I'm so excited. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun time. So July 2nd is Prism Power. July 20th is the Vape Error show, and then August 5th, I believe. 5th? Yes. Is the Santa Ana Art Walk, which is in Orange County. And
Nice.
that was booked by Alex, Trucks Passing Trucks from Pacific Plaza.
Shout
I
out.
believe it's going to be, shout out, yes, big shouts. It's going to be me, Earthboy Advance, and Booty Wizard, all playing DJ sets. And I believe Alex is also playing a set.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you're in the LA Orange County area, you've never been to the Santa Ana Art Walk, come down. It's super fun. Good vibes, good music, and food, I believe. Good food as well. So yeah.
Alex
It's gonna be a
just
fun
says
time.
there's an OC show you can announce.
An OC show. Wait, is he? I think he's talking about the one I'm thinking of. Is that delayed?
Maybe he should announce it.
I'm confused. Yeah,
Yikes.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
He
sure
also
that
linked
is.
a couple of your albums in chat. You guys buy those albums,
Oh,
run them up.
Thank
Those
you.
albums, please.
Yeah, and I believe we've got Heaven Cry vinyl. That
Oh,
is,
yeah,
those
there
are
you go.
still in stock. So definitely go check those out via Pacific Plaza. I think that's all the merch that I have for sale at the moment, but more merch is definitely coming. Yeah, so 3 shows planned for the summer. More stuff to be announced soon. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah,
think that's it.
keep your ear to the ground. Well, I'll just go ahead and put out there if that's okay, Chris. I'll let you finish up tonight. We got the Turn Up for Trans Folk being put on by Dreaming Diary, formerly known as Digital Sex, coming up here next Sunday. Twitch.tv/Dreaming Diary. It's going to be me, Power PCME, Pursuing Paradise, and a handful of great other people, including, of course, Dreaming Diary himself, with all donations going straight to the Trevor Project. So support your LGBTQIA+ homies. Show up. I believe it's 6 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, Lux, for the link. I've got a 20-minute kind of like down-tempo deep house set, some Ground is Lava, some Luzine.
I love Ground is Lava.
Oh my God,
That's an artist name I haven't heard in a while. Yeah,
that's another thing that speaks volumes about who you are is which Ground is Lava album is your favorite. So we got to chat. But yeah, opening with a Suicide Mission by Baths, beautiful, very dark song,
Nice.
and worked in a soft replica track. So I'm really excited about that. That's next Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/Streaming Diary. Then in July, the 29th, we have Midwest Aesthetic with myself.
Let's go.
Yeah, Luxury Elite, Fire Tools, Vape Error, Sound Market, and a lot of other great people that I can never seem to remember. So show up in Madison, Wisconsin if you want to see a banger of a show. Don't know what I'm playing yet, but it's gonna pop off. And then, of course, Helios 3, I believe, has not been announced quite yet, but Ming Curry and Strip Silence and a lot of other great people have been working hard on that. And I've got a 20-minute Cloud Rap set coming out when that's announced. No Young Lean, no Bladee, no Bones, no Xavier Wolf. I managed to do 20 minutes of Cloud Rap without those guys, and I think it bangs. So, Helios 3. And then, like you said, other things being announced later on.
I think I have one more thing to shill.
Please
and promote
please
real
go
quick.
ahead.
Nice, please do.
Randy Blaster 3D. The
Oh,
game.
yeah.
Of course.
The game where you get to kill Vaporwave's most hated
The guy you love to hate. 3D
yeah,
Blast.
the guy we all love to hate. No. Yeah, no. Randy Blaster has been an
Lux,
incredible
thank you for
passion
dropping
project. Yes, thank you, Lux. Nano just goes, oh, great. Developed by our friend and the love of my life, Nano Shrine, and sound designed by yours truly.
Unreal.
So yeah, it's so much fun. It's like stupid how fun this game is. If you happen to play it and maybe have a Twitch channel of your own and you stream it, please let us know. If you have general feedback on the game, and please also let us know. There's a Discord you can join. There's all kinds of manner of things related to Randy Blaster in ways you can get involved. So yeah, please check it out because it's been a huge passion project for us both. So
Randy Blaster 3D. I was hoping that would come up.
yes, I remembered that and I was like, oh no, there's one more thing, and it's a really big thing.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
All right, Skelly, finish it up. Tell us what's going on, and then tell us who our next guest is going to be.
So I got a set for the Helios thing as well by Ming Curry that Isaac mentioned. In addition to that, July 28th is the Eclipse Party, which is the Witch House Funk Wave and Dark Synth Party over at the 700 Club in Philadelphia, July 28th. In addition to that, I believe my remix of Be Careful song Vertigo came out about a week ago. You can check that out if you like. Great, cool. And then in addition to that, I've got new albums pretty much done. I just actually sent it over to my buddy Price to just listen to it and tell me what he thinks of it. So I'll see what he has to say. And it's really good. Really fucking cool shit. You're gonna like it. Really, really Clamp Casino.
Shout out, Be Careful.
Wavy. It's very good. Very
That's
good
awesome.
stuff. It's fucking awesome. Yes, you will see. And thank you for being on the show, Datagirl.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's been a great
This was
episode.
great. I can't believe how fast that went
We've
by.
kept
Right?
40
Doesn't it go so
viewers all
quick?
night long. Shout out, you guys.
That was crazy. Yeah, thank
How
you
could they
guys
not? She's
so
so
much.
engaging.
Yeah, no shit, right? Well, I don't think we have
thank you
anyone we
guys.
can raid, unfortunately.
right.
3D Blast is too busy in chat, so...
Yeah.
Who's our next guest, Chris?
Ming Curry.
Ming
Ooh,
Curry.
fun.
Mastermind.
Fun.
The 3rd of
Yes.
July at 9 p.m. Eastern on the eve of Independence Day. Ming Curry on Hot Takes. Just a reminder, everybody, if you like Datagirl, go buy her things. Go support her financially. If you like Hot Takes, we're not opposed to the same thing. Exclamation point donate if you feel so led. If the spirit moves you, as Skelly would say. And then, of course, don't forget to support each other, your friends, your community. Be good to each other. Be honest with each other, and give each other benefit of the doubt. Right? Got a lot of exciting things coming up here pretty soon, so don't forget your community. And we hope to see you guys in a couple weeks. Until then, sayonara.
Bye.
That's a hot